How to Deal with Masturbation, a Stoic Perspective. Part 1. Listen closely. If you've ever struggled with the chains of masturbation, feeling trapped, guilty, weak, and wondering if you'll ever be free, then this is for you. I want you to know something from the very start: you are not alone, and you are not hopeless. The Stoics faced desires just like us. They faced temptations, struggles, and weaknesses of the flesh. But they developed tools, mindsets, and strategies that gave them freedom when others were slaves. And we can learn from them today. And here's the key: the last point is the most effective of all. So stay with me until the very end. Don't drift away. Don't lose focus. Because what I will share here could be the turning point for your life. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more Stoic tips. Let's get started. The nature of desire. Before we can talk about solutions, we must first understand the problem. Desire is not evil. Desire is not something to be hated. Desire is natural. It is the fire of life. Without desire, no one would eat, no one would love, no one would build families or create art. The Stoics never said, kill desire. They said, govern it. They said a wise person does not let desire drag him like a slave. Instead, he holds the reins, like a rider guiding a horse. So when we talk about masturbation, we are not fighting against life itself. We are fighting against the misuse of life's energy. Masturbation, especially when it becomes a habit, is desire without reason. It is fire that burns down the house instead of warming it. Psychologically, the mind learns quickly to seek shortcuts. Pleasure is the easiest shortcut. The brain says, why chase real connection, real work, or real discipline when I can give you a quick hit of pleasure right now? This is where the problem begins. Facing the truth without shame. The first thing to deal with is shame. Shame makes people hide. Shame makes them deny. Shame whispers, don't talk about it. Don't admit it. Keep it secret. And in that silence, the problem grows stronger. The Stoics hated lies, especially self-lies. They taught that a man must face himself honestly, with no excuses. Marcus Aurelius wrote every day, confessing his weaknesses, reminding himself of his duties, admitting where he failed. He never hid from himself. So if you want to deal with masturbation, you must face the truth directly. Say it aloud if you must: I am struggling with this. It has power over me. It weakens me. But I am ready to fight. That single admission is the first act of courage. Without it, there is no progress. Understanding the cycle. Most people who fall into masturbation again and again don't fully understand the cycle that traps them. Let's slow down and look at it. It usually begins with triggers. Triggers can be boredom, stress, loneliness, or simple curiosity. The mind says, I need relief. I need escape. I need a quick pleasure. Then comes the thought. A memory, an image, a fantasy. The Stoics warned us that thoughts are like seeds: if you allow them to grow, they become actions. Seneca said, it is easier to exclude harmful passions than to rule them, and to deny them admittance than to control them after they have been admitted. Next comes the urge. The body feels restless. Energy builds. The brain shouts for release. This is where most people surrender. Then comes the act. The release happens. For a moment, there is relief. But afterwards, there is emptiness, guilt, shame, and weakness. And then the cycle starts again. Understanding this cycle is powerful because once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it. You don't have to wait until the urge is strongest. You can attack the problem earlier, at the stage of the trigger, or even at the stage of the thought. Redirecting energy. The Stoics saw energy as something precious. They did not want to waste it on things that did not matter. Epictetus told his students to conserve their energy for what is under their control, and not waste it on pointless things. When you feel the urge to masturbate, remember this: the energy you feel is not just sexual. It is life energy. You can redirect it. You can push it into exercise, into writing, into studying, into music, into building something. Biologically, yes, hormones play a part. Testosterone, dopamine, oxytocin, these are real. But more important is how you choose to channel the drive behind them. Athletes, artists, and leaders have often turned sexual energy into creativity and power. You can too. This is not suppression. Suppression means pushing it down and pretending it's not there. That never works. Redirection means taking the fire and using it to cook a meal instead of burning the house. That is Stoic mastery. Training the mind like a muscle. Imagine your mind as a muscle. Every time you resist the urge, you make that muscle stronger. Every time you give in, you weaken it. The Stoics were like mental athletes. They trained their minds daily, just as soldiers train their bodies. They exposed themselves to discomfort on purpose. They practiced saying no to easy pleasures so that when greater temptations came, they could resist. So how do you train the mind against masturbation? By small acts of resistance in daily life. Take a cold shower when you crave warmth. Put down the phone when you crave endless scrolling. Wake up early when you crave more sleep. Each small victory builds your strength. Then, when the sexual urge rises, you are no longer a weak soldier, you are trained, disciplined, ready for battle. Changing the story you tell yourself. One of the most powerful Stoic tools is framing. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, this is just a thought. It cannot harm me. If you see masturbation as a harmless act, you will keep falling. If you see it as a guilty pleasure, you will live in shame. But if you see it clearly, as slavery, as weakness, as theft of your time and dignity, you will naturally resist. The story you tell yourself matters. Change the story, and you change the habit. For example, instead of saying, I'm missing out on pleasure if I resist, tell yourself, I am gaining freedom and strength by resisting. Instead of saying, this is natural, why stop, tell yourself, yes, it is natural, but I am not an animal, I am a man with reason. That shift in narrative is Stoic wisdom at work. The role of stillness. We live in a noisy world. Everywhere you look, there are images, screens, sounds, distractions. All of them feed desire. The Stoics practiced stillness. They meditated, not in the mystical sense, but in the sense of calming the mind and focusing on reason. Marcus Aurelius would sit quietly and reflect on life, death, and duty. When the urge comes, try stillness. Sit. Breathe deeply. Watch the sensation rise. Do not fight it with panic. Just watch it, as if you are watching a wave in the ocean. The wave will rise, and then it will fall. Urges always pass. The Stoics would say, this too is nothing more than a thought. It will fade. If you can sit through the storm without acting, you will learn that you are stronger than the wave. This is one of the most practical Stoic tools for dealing with masturbation. Building a larger purpose. Here is something very important. If your life has no higher purpose, you will always fall to lower desires. The Stoics believed every man has a duty. Marcus Aurelius was emperor, yet he reminded himself daily, do not waste what remains of your life. Epictetus was a slave, yet he taught students with more freedom than most emperors had. You must build a purpose. Ask yourself, why do I want to stop this habit? What will I do with the energy, the time, the focus I gain? Will I build a career? Serve others? Create something lasting? Without a larger purpose, your fight will feel empty. But when you know you are fighting for freedom, for virtue, for greatness, then the battle becomes meaningful. The power of repetition. Psychology shows us that habits are built by repetition. The same is true for breaking them. Each time you resist, it becomes easier next time. Each time you reflect, you grow stronger. The Stoics knew this well. They practiced daily disciplines, not one-time actions. They wrote every day, reflected every day, trained every day. So when you fail, do not despair. Begin again. And when you succeed, celebrate, then prepare for the next test. Over time, your brain will rewire itself. The trench that once pulled you down will slowly fill, and a new path will open again. Closing part 1. So in this first part, we have laid the foundation. Seeing desire clearly. Facing the truth without shame. Understanding the cycle. Redirecting energy. Training the mind as a muscle. Changing your inner story. Practicing stillness. Building a larger purpose. Repetition and persistence. But this is just the beginning. In part 2, we will go even deeper. We will explore advanced Stoic techniques, the psychology of self-control, and the final, most effective method to deal with masturbation once and for all. And trust me, the last point is the strongest weapon of them all. You don't want to miss it. Go ahead and leave a comment below if this video has helped you. Part 2 is coming.